So I get asked a lot about the arcade stick that I use in my Killer Instinct videos, and I've been meaning to make a video about it for a long time. I've been promising it, but here it finally is. So very first thing is that it is a custom build. I always mention that in comments, but it is a custom build. If you have any interest in building it yourself, I've got blueprints in the description. So it's a 3D model I made myself. I made the blueprints, and then I made this, which was intended to be a prototype. So the plan was to build this, see if it all worked out okay, and then I was going to make it out of like 5/8 or 3/4 inch plywood and really doll it up, you know, make cool graphics, plexiglass, round the corners off, all that stuff. But honestly, this thing worked out, and I was like, I don't really feel like it, and this is working fine, and I really don't care if it looks great right now. Eventually, I still want to do that, but yeah, I just kind of went GarageBand with it, to be honest. So now you've seen it when it had a white background with very annoying zero contrast, you know, white buttons on white background. I apologize for that. It wasn't intentional. It just sort of worked out that way because I was planning to make cool graphics. But whenever I got around to doing KI1 videos, I was like, I have to. I have to paint this thing black. When I did that, I changed out the joystick. I'll talk about it. So all the parts that are here, I'll have listed in that PDF. So you'll know what type of buttons, what type of cables, cords, you know, circuit board, all that kind of stuff. It's all in there. But yeah, it used to be a HAP joystick. This is an IL stick. Honestly, they're so similar, it really shouldn't matter. I personally don't care which one I'm using. The designs are almost identical. They use slightly different quality parts. Most would argue that IL is a little bit better and is more is actually the old HAP, right? These games used to be HAP joystick, HAP buttons, like on the old arcades. And the company that HAP was back then is who IL is now. That's my understanding. And then the name HAP carried on, but it's a different, like, cheaper version. That's my understanding. It might be slightly wrong, but either way, I personally don't care which it is. The only real difference you'll see visually from the top anyway is that IL, the washers are the same color as the joystick, whereas in HAP this is always black. So this layout is straight off of the Killer Instinct diagram of the arcade. So I made sure that the spacing between the joystick and these buttons was exactly like the arcade, this spacing, all that, so that this is exactly what the hand placement you would have on the actual arcade. Then I've got these buttons here that are just split 50-50, straddling this button here, and the same distance this way. All that stuff's laid out. All of the holes are drilled with a spade bit. I'll show you that too. And yeah, other than that, we'll get into the inside. It's all basic rectangles. You'll see here, this is just some MDF shelving board, right? Let's see, it was just leftover scrap that I had. And then the inside's right here. So originally I had planned to cover this, right? I had these little spots here that you would be able to put like a 1/8 inch thick or 1/16 little panel, and you could screw it down, close it up. But whenever I built it, I was like, you know what, like, dust isn't going to get in here, right? Because it's going to be upside down. So I don't really care, honestly. So I just left it like that. We'll get into one of the prototype issues right there in a second. But yeah, this is it. So if you kind of ignore the wires, it's pretty basic, right? It's just the 8 buttons, the joystick coming through, and then the brain of the whole thing, which is this board right here. This is a Brook Universal Fighting Board. You could get one of these secondhand, or you could get a more modern one, because this one is for 360, Xbox One, PS3, PS4, PC. And honestly, because you can connect it to the internet and update drivers and everything, it might work on other things too. But it's really cool. I mean, it's super light, so I only have 2 screws holding it in there. And then your wires, you just strip the end of the wires, put them in, and then there's just these little Phillips head screws. You just crank down a little bit, so there's no soldering. It's very self-explanatory. You can see the list of what the wires are on the sides. So whichever wire is up or down or left, or you just put them in. Super easy. Use a common ground wire, connect them all together. Not much to it. Then yeah, the other button I have here, this is your PlayStation button or guide button. so that's kind of hiding, right? I just you'll see me a lot of times hit the menu. That's that button right there. And then yeah, this was my my oversight when I was designing it. I knew I had enough room here for the USB pass-through, right? This right here, but I wasn't compensating for the length of the USB cable, so I was running into this button here. So again, I've got a breakdown of what these cords are. This one going from here to here, the pass-through itself, and then a USB cable, right, comes out the back. That's it. These were a temporary solution that have become a permanent solution, which is just these little anti-slip pads, because otherwise this thing will slide all over the place. I just change them out every once in a while. I'll probably change them, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, using it for years and years at this point. But yeah, that's it. We'll get into the 3D model. I'll show it to you, show you a few things that are different about it, and yeah, we'll pick it up there.
Alright, so here's the 3D model of what I intended to make. So you'll see it's pretty similar. Big difference is got the plexiglass on top with the 6 round head screws, some rounded corners, right? Just didn't feel like doing that, but essentially this is it. So this 3D model here I made in a different program, but I've exported it to a step file and I'm opening it up here in FreeCAD. So this is an open source program that you can download for free and use for anything you want. So yeah, just figured that'd be a way for you to check out the 3D model if you want, edit it yourself, whatever you want to do. If we take a look on the inside, you can see without the chaos of all the wires, it's not overly complex. So, and I've got the orientation of the micro switches. This was kind of the plan, just to make sure all the wires miss everything else. It didn't end up looking like this. I forget why, but yeah, just as long as you're not running into other parts, turn these any way you like. And then we've got this button on the back is actually a different button. So these are long stem, and this is a short stem, and the length of the button is actually not that much different, to be honest, but it's just enough to just provide a little bit more clearance. And I think honestly the reason I bought it is just because I wanted my home button to be a little different. So it's a convex instead of a concave button, but I've got that in the parts list. I'll show you. But yeah, that's the 3D model, and then we'll take a look at the PDF. So you can see I did this back in 2016. About 3 months ago, a little bit more, I intended to do this video, and then yeah, I saw another comment asking me again, and I was like, man, I have to do this video, so I made a little correction. But anyway, here we go. We got the parts list here and an exploded view. So in the part list, you see right here it says not shown. So this is just my wires. So this right here, this will be the wire that runs from one of your micro switch tabs to the board itself. And then you also have to have a ground wire. Now the ground is daisy chained, so it's just like one long wire that connects to multiple buttons. And as long as you have at least 13 connections, you're good. The one that I bought had like 30 on it, so it's fine if you don't connect them all up. It's just a ground wire. So then I've got the 2 cords you need. You need a cord that goes from the board to the USB pass-through, the thing that fits on the back, right? This right here. So you get right to there, or on the inside actually. And then you need another USB cord to go from that to your console. So as far as the numbering goes, anything that's got a letter on it just means that's all one part. So the button, for instance, right, I got 8A, 8B, 8C, but this is all part of item number 8, right? So when you buy this push button, it's going to come with the button itself, the screw, and the micro switch. Same with the joystick, right? I've got the joystick here, the washer, right? All this stuff. It's all item number 7. You just buy item number 7 and all of that's included. Then we go here to sheet number 2. This is kind of a breakdown of all the parts. So just cut yourself some boards that are these dimensions here. And if you want it to be sloped, right, because originally I had this sloped, so it was shorter on this end and longer on the back, and then I decided, nah, I'll just make it flat, and if I want to slope it, I'll add something on the back and manually tilt it. But anyway, these are the dimensions. Just follow these. Anything that I have in parentheses just means it's a reference dimension. So what I mean is right here, you're kind of holding this 11 3/4, but if you made this out of 1-inch board, right, or 1/2-inch board, this number is going to change, but this number is not as important. And stuff like this is just to tell you that it's centered. Anyway, got that. Obviously, if you get a different style button than what I'm using here, you're going to want to drill a hole based on the button size. Whenever you buy them, you'll have a little chart that tells you what the through hole needs to be. Same with this. If you don't get the exact same pass through that I got, just drill a different size hole. And then here's sort of the assembly right here. So yeah, just some more dimensions. Honestly, you can do it however. Here's the button layout right here. Essentially, it works out to where all these buttons are spaced 1 5/8 inches from each other right here. You see? So each button 1 5/8 inches left and right, up and down. I have these kind of split half and half, right? Now, when you pull your dimensions, you can do it however you like, right? I've got some references here, so you could come out 3 3/4, put this, and then measure out another, right, 3 1/4. Or you can do like what I like to do is you just pull everything from the same spot. So you just pull the tape, put that mark in, come 7 inches, put a mark, 8. Anyway, there's a bunch of info there. It should definitely be enough to get you going if you feel like undertaking the project. It's actually not that bad. And honestly, all this stuff was put together with Gorilla Glue and like just some Gorilla wood glue, and this stuff's held like a champ. So that's it. Just get you some clamps, some wood glue, and a scrap piece of wood, and drill them holes. And I don't remember what I used for the counter bore. So there's a little counter bore. You don't have to do that. That's just for the little screw to sit in, this right here. But if you didn't do that, you could just do a through hole right here, and this would just mate to the bottom of the board. It would just sit flush with this instead of being recessed, but it would still work. But anyway, yeah, sorry for the late reply on these. I always reply to people's comments, but I've been meaning to make this video for a long time, so hopefully that was helpful, and we'll see you next time. Later.